Hi everyone, today's video is going to be a little discussion type of video in which I'll talk about the most hated luxury designer bags on TikTok. So very often I would get TikToks in which a person would talk about the bags that they dislike or bags that you shouldn't buy as your first luxury designer handbag, bags that are out of trend, bags that are outdated, and then of course there are the trend TikToks. For example, one of the most recent sounds was the burn it sound, and then a person would put like a picture of the bag that is essentially supposed to be burned. But the one thing that all of these TikToks, well, okay, not all, but most of these TikToks have in common is that usually they're talking about the same bags. I feel like it's always the same bags that I see in these TikToks. So I thought that it would make an interesting video to discuss why are these bags getting so much hate. So let's talk about it. But before we start, I just have to mention that this is based on my personal feed. There is no list like with the most hated bags on TikTok. I am truly basing it on the TikToks that I am personally getting on my feed, and I'm genuinely curious if you're also getting the same vibe. So let me know in the comment section below if you've also seen a lot of these bags get hate on TikTok. So let's start. Okay, so bag number one is the Balenciaga Le Cagole Bag, and with this bag I feel like it only goes two ways. People either really love it or really hate it. And honestly, I can see why, because there is a lot going on with this bag. The bag itself looks like it's been stored in Kiara's controversial closet for 20 years and has been now pulled out for a comeback moment. And it is very slouchy, it has a lot of creases, there are studs, belt buckles, and the strap is one belt, and the belt has metal covered notches, and if that wasn't enough, there's also accessories hanging off of it, like a little mirror and a little pouch. So there is really a lot going on with this bag. It's safe to say that the bag looks overwhelming, but personally I am kind of into it. Granted, you'd have to be very careful with how you styled it, because the bag would always be the centerpiece of the outfit. So if you wear something too colorful or too loud or too sparkly or too much of something and add this bag on top, it's just going to look a little bit crazy. But other than that, I actually feel like it's a pretty cool bag, and I'm actually happy that Balenciaga is moving away from the logo stamped bags. No hate here. I had one of those bags as well. I loved it so much, but right now I feel like we're moving on to a different phase of Balenciaga, to that rocker chic era of Balenciaga, and I'm really into it. Bag number two, you knew it was coming, is the Chanel 22 bag. Now this bag quite literally broke the internet of the luxury designer lover community, because it was getting so much hate from all social media networks, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Everyone was hating on this bag. Well, okay, the vast majority of people was hating on this bag. Again, I see the reason for the hate. It's a leather drawstring bag with Chanel stamped on it. That's all there is to it. I had actually tried this bag on and I liked how the leather felt. It felt really nice and luxurious. I could also see the incredible attention to detail on that bag, and I really actually enjoyed the look of this bag. So visually, I was into the vibe. However, the price is a completely different story. Now don't get me wrong, because I do understand why they priced it the way they did. With all the price increases happening, seasonal bags now cost 4,000 to 5,000 euros. And this bag was introduced as a Chanel classic. So there was absolutely no way that they would have priced it under 4,000 euros, which, if we're being honest, would have still been too much. But just because I get it doesn't mean I want to spend that much money on it. And another thing that I wanted to mention was that why hasn't anyone said that this bag literally looks like Chanel's version of Stella McCartney's Falabella bag? Has anyone else noticed it? Or is it just me? Anyway, moving on. Bag number 3 is probably not going to be a surprise as well. It's the one, the only, the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. I mean, there's not really much to say about it because I'm pretty sure that everyone knows this bag. And I don't want to say that I'm in the hater club, but it's a bag that I have personally never really cared for. I definitely see the appeal of it because it's simple, it's even timeless in a way. It does the job of a tote bag and it's also significantly less expensive than other designer tote bags, especially if they're made of leather. So I get why there's demand for it, but just for me, it gives nothing. I don't feel anything towards this bag. There is no excitement, no butterflies, nothing. But I will say that if I would ever buy a Neverfull from Louis Vuitton, it would be from one of their limited edition collections, particularly from the summer limited edition collections, because those are always so beautiful. So I guess never say never. Bag number 4 is another one that people love to hate, the Gucci Marmont range. So I personally believe that this bag was a victim of social media because when I look at the bag by itself and I forget all the history of this bag, what I see is a beautiful bag. The leather, the quality, the craftsmanship, the design is nice and simple. The antique gold hardware pops beautifully. So, I mean, there's a reason why it was as loved as it was and as hyped as it was, because it's a beautiful bag. But the thing is that for a year or two, or even 3, it was all we saw. It basically became like one of those annoying hit songs that you really like at first, but then it starts being played everywhere you go, so you start to really hate it. Whenever you hear it, you switch the station. And I feel like that's exactly what happened to the Gucci Marmont line. We saw so much of it that it lost its appeal. It lost its exclusivity. I personally think that sooner or later this bag will be a hit again. So be ready for it. It's going to have a comeback eventually. And right now there are a lot of beautiful limited edition Gucci Marmont pieces available at the outlets. So if you really like this line, I would strongly recommend visiting the outlets as soon as possible. And finally, at number 5, we have the Valentino Rockstud Spike bags. Now, I feel like the situation here is very similar with the Gucci Marmont line, because when I look at the bag by itself without knowing all the history and all the hype it had, I think that it's a beautiful bag. The design is simple yet chic with an edge. The leather is gorgeous. I love the functionality of this bag, the chain strap and the detachable top handle. So it's a great bag. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily my style, but the one thing that I do really love about it is that it doesn't have any loud logos, which is something that I've been appreciating recently more and more. But here, once again, I feel like we have that hit song situation because we saw so much of it that it was overwhelming. And I really don't think that these bags would be getting the hate that they do right now if they weren't as popular as they were back in the day. So it was a blessing and a curse. At the end of the day, just buy what you love. And I always say that everything in fashion goes in circulation. You can never know what trend is going to come back. So let's just buy what we love. And that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it and I hope that you found it useful. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel because I do love talking about fashion. So let's stay in touch and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys, stay safe.